welcome back. My name is Bian and I'm going to be today's host. Before we start, I want to remind everyone to ask any questions as we go, and the applications for the Digital Summer Clinic are now open and they close on April 30th. Today we have our special guest, Kim Barker. She is here, a professor here at Eastern Michigan University and one of our mentors. Kim, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Professor Barker, and yes, I've been a mentor. This is my second year being a mentor uh, for the summer digital clinic, and I'm very happy to be here.
We're super glad to have you on. All right, so we're just going to jump right into the questions here. The first question I have for you was, how does the clinic's unique environment and expertise contribute to career development?
Hmm. Well, I would say that a lot of the students at the clinic consider this their first professional job. And in a lot of ways it is. I mean, we really, um, we work as a team, we problem solve together, we prepare students for the real world situations. So, yeah, we teach the students to think like an entrepreneur, right? Whether it's their business or someone else's. We all need to think like entrepreneurs these days. And we work really hard at doing that and problem solving. Then later on in the clinic, we do a deep dive and we really help students with career planning, with looking at their resumes and, just really making sure that we're using action words and the STAR method, for each bullet point and things like that. So, I mean, we really try to prepare students for their next steps in their career after graduation.
That was a great response. And being a part of like internship program, I was also an intern there last summer, and absolutely like the resume techniques that you give to all the interns, including me, the STAR method really helped me out. And then now my resume looks like pretty good enough so that
Aw,
I can apply for jobs. So thank you so much for that.
thank you.
um,
If I could just say, I tell students regularly that you really need to have I say at least 50 people review your resume by the time you graduate. I just kind of throw that number out there, but I mean, it's really, sometimes students think their resume is a one and done situation. You do it in BizCom and then you're kind of done with it. But uh, you really need to communicate very well in your resume and your cover letter because I mean, you have to make yourself come through because you are selling yourself, right? Through that.
yeah, definitely, I totally agree with
Yeah.
you. So I'll move on with another question for you, that is, what are some strategies for overcoming common career challenges such as job searching or networking? It just comes with the resume too, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
so we talk so much about networking, right? And the importance of networking. But the first thing I want to say is really doing your research, right? So really have a direction on where you want to go. And I think you have to plan your work and work your plan, but then yet kind of be open, right? So be open to the possibilities that are out there. The other thing, like I just said, is having people use your resume as a tool. Like ask people to review your resume and and give you feedback. And I would say probably the third thing is after I want to say you shore up your resume and you work on your cover letter and make it almost perfect, don't put all the pressure on your resume, right? If there's a way to be out there and networking, being a part of clubs, being a part of different organizations, there's a statistic out there that about 9 out of 10 job postings that are out there, the hiring manager has an idea of who they want to put in that position. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I think it's kind of true. So, I mean, you want to work and maybe try to get that position before the job is posted. So, through networking, through building your professional skills, you will come across people, and and those are people that might have different opportunities for you. If I could just give an example, in one of my classes, a gal told a story. She had they had an open position at their company, and there was a young lady who had just moved up here with her husband from Tennessee, and one day at like 5 minutes to 5, she walked in. She walked in the office and she said, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I've applied for this job online, but I just wanted to stop in and say hi so that you could put a face with a name." And it just so happened to be that the hiring manager was there, so they shook hands and met each other, and just that few minutes interaction helped ensure that this young lady got an interview. And then, of course, that's the purpose of your resume and cover letter, right? Is to get an interview. You know, um, and then, by doing that, she got additional interviews, and then she was able, to get the job offer. So, just not putting so much emphasis on, or not putting the burden only on the resume, can be really, really helpful. I had a student this just last semester, and he told a story about how um, his aunt, who lives in Poland, she was dropping off her resume to a company, and she she was looking for the company, but she was having a hard time finding it. So she stopped into another company and asked for directions, and then that company like were impressed by her and how she presented herself, and she gave them a copy of her resume, and she's been working there for over 30 years. So it's about just networking, and making sure that you're presenting yourself professionally, and that you also have all of, I guess, all of your ducks in a row, right? So that you're ready, you're ready for the job. If I could just tell one more story, it's kind of funny. My husband had a cousin, and he was working in for a company in Western Michigan, and his company was undergoing some challenges, and he had a new neighbor when he moved into this house, and the neighbor, just, "What do you do?" Da da da. He had his like elevator pitch ready, right? And that guy owned a company that did exactly what he was doing. So he ended up hiring him. And years later, I mean, many years later, this gentleman passed away. And guess who the neighbor helped take care of his wife? So anyway, I just thought that was such a neat story about how, he kind of was able to reciprocate, right, and help his wife. So it's all about being present and being there and being out there, and those who keep busy and keep moving, those are the ones who get it done. As Sadie knows, right?
I think that's very true. Networking is actually the way I got this position that I'm in now as a field manager. Introducing myself to Bud was really, I feel like, one of the key things that landed me this position. All right.
Yeah.
So next question I have for you is, well, not necessarily a question, but tell us some of the struggles you face while choosing your career path and some advice you'd give to students.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, that's a good question. You know, um, One thing I tell students all the time, and I appreciate you saying that comment, because sometimes people are introverted or they're a little shy, right? And I say, you don't get points for being shy, right? You have to put yourself out there. And sometimes that's hard to do for some people, but it's really important, because people aren't going to know who you are, and if you don't represent yourself, right? You have to be your number one promoter, if you will. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, like, throughout my life when I grew up. I was a first gen college student, in my family, so I really, I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I, wanted to make a lot of money, whatever, but I just never really knew. But guess what? I was working and I was going to school, and one of my professors when I was in college, he came to me and he said, "I think you would be great. There's this position available in the finance and operations department, and I think you would be ideal for that." And I don't know why he said it to me. I mean, I was always in class and I was always in the front row, you know me, right? But I still to this day don't know why he mentioned that to me, but that was my first professional job, if you will. So I think, but I've always been kind of jealous of people, who say, "Oh, I want to do this and I want to do this in this field, forever." But I just asked in my class today, I said, "How many of you know what your next step is going to be after graduation?" And this was a 300 level class, and nobody raised their hand, right? So, life is a journey, and I think it's really important that we be prepared, but that we also be open, for opportunities along the way. And I think, it's important that you have mentors. So you talk to as many people as possible and say, especially people that you think, "Oh my gosh, they have a cool job and I might be interested in a job like that." Or, someone that works at a company that maybe you might be interested in, and just say, "Hey, do you have like 10 minutes? I could just pick your brain and, ask you some questions." I mean, when you're a college student, people really love to help out college students or young people, getting started in their career. So if you can ask questions and not be bashful, right? Not be shy. I think that can be really helpful. And then my next professional job was after we moved back to Michigan, and I had moved across the country, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, how am I gonna get a job now?" Right? And I started networking, and actually, I always seem to graduate during a recession, which is definitely a skill of mine. And so I was going out there, like, and dropping off my resume to places, right? Because I was like, I don't know what to do. And I met my mom at a coffee shop, and a guy almost spilled his coffee all over me, and I was like, "Hey," he was like a retired gentleman, and I said, "I'm looking for a job in human resources. Do you know anybody who's hiring?" And he was like, "As a matter of fact, I do. My daughter, where she works, they're looking for someone in HR." And so I think, just by I still to this day don't know why I said anything, but I did. And so, I mean, it really has to be kind of top of mind. And that just, one thing, things happen like that kind of organically. And it's kinda cool when you look back, when you get at a certain point in your life and look back, and you can kinda relate, "Oh, I understand why that happened," or, "Oh, that was pretty cool that this happened." I interviewed just last week, an alum. Her name is Heidi Phillipson, and, she's an EMU alum, and, I asked her, I said, "If you had one bit of advice for EMU grads, what would it be?" And she said, "To invest in yourself." And I just really love that, because it's all about investing in yourself and setting yourself up for success. And, being a lifelong learner, I think, is really important. And hopefully we fuel students to want to be lifelong learners, both in the program and the university.
I totally agree. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. I think that strongly aligns with the stories that you were telling.
Yeah, I do too. And, hopefully I will see all those connections before I'm, like 80 sitting in the home, right? But it is kind of cool to look back and be reflective and be able to see that. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. All
yeah.
right, let's jump into the comments. We do have a few.
Oh,
This first one is from Bud. This isn't necessarily a question. He just says that he likes the resume advice, which I'm sure a lot of the other viewers will as well.
aw.
All right, and then this one is an actual question from Bud as well. What does Kim think would be a great thing to add to the clinic this year? No promises,
No.
but would like to know.
Oh, he's so funny. More food. More food at no, I'm just kidding. I think, I feel like when we get together, we become like really I think we become kind of close as working in teams, and just kind of have more of that, more times when we come together and problem solve and overcome challenges because to me we became really close as a group, and I really looked forward to our Thursday night meetings, and we're still close. Like, we're still close with everyone that's on LinkedIn, and we support each other. I just kinda feel like the clinic it's again, it's not a one and done kinda thing, right? It's a journey, and, I think people work hard, and they overcome obstacles and help these businesses. And there's a great sense of accomplishment with that. And so I guess I want to say more of the good stuff.
That's great. All right. This one also is a comment from Bud. Um, almost every job he's had has he's gotten through networking. I've
Jeez, wow.
actually been rejected 5 times at a company only to have networking ultimately get me an offer, which I think honestly probably happens to lots of people.
It really does. And there was one I wanted to work for a big health system at one time. And I knew somebody that worked there, and I had an information interview, and there wasn't an opening at that time. And I told this hiring manager, I said, I'm gonna contact you regularly. Is that okay? And he said, yeah. And I contacted him almost weekly for 6 months. And I was like, "Okay, he's either gonna hire me or put out a PPO against me, right?" Fortunately, he hired me. But, I think that a lot of times students feel like I'm being too aggressive, right? I'm being too, I'm contacting like this prospective employer too much. And what you need to understand, or why am I not hearing from them? That would always get really frustrating, because I'd be like, I want the job and I want to start tomorrow, right? And you just need to think that they have so much on their plate, right? They have just, this is one little thing that they have to get done, and a list of 50. And so when you think you're contacting them too much or being too aggressive or assertive, you're probably not. So I think it's really important that you the show that you are really interested in the position. And I can't tell you how many times people that have followed up with me after the interviews and asked more questions, how it kind of helped the scale tip in their favor, because I just knew how bad they wanted it. Now, not that they contacted me every day or something like that, right? But just, once or twice, and they're like, I've been thinking about this, and this is I was just wondering about this, and that it's really top of mind and that they really want it, and that can be really helpful. I'm telling you, almost every job I've gotten has been through networking. And I don't know why, for some reason it seems like have either of you experienced this? You've applied for a job, online, and it just seems like it went into a black hole, somewhere in the universe, and you're not sure if anybody even read it, right? I mean, a lot of times companies have these resume bots, and and they're just screening people in and out, and sometimes it's kind of arbitrarily. So sometimes you kind of need to give the system a little help, and I think that's where networking comes in.
Yeah, I think it all honestly just keeps tying back to networking.
It
So
does.
really staying on top of that. All right, last question is also from Bud and is has Vianne ever had Kim? And no, I have not. Hopefully in the future. All right, before we head
What
out,
is your major?
I'm a marketing major.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you might need to take a few management classes, right?
Yeah, definitely next semester.
Oh, so awesome.
All right, before we head out, I want to thank everyone again for watching our digital live. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow all of our social media platforms so you don't miss anything. And don't forget to submit your applications before April 30th.
It'll be one of the best decisions you've ever made.
Yeah, definitely. And to everyone watching, we thank you again for joining us with our special guest, Dr. Kim Barker. And tune in next Thursday at 5 p.m. in the same time with our next guest speaker, who is Jane Hammond, who is also the Senior Vice President of Marketing Communications and Events at Ann Arbor Spark. So have
Awesome.
a great week, everyone, and we hope to see you.
Bye-bye.